Hello folks, and welcome to Telling Tinder Tales, the show where people get to tell their interesting dating stories with me, Chris O'Neill.
And me, Thomasin Lockwood. On today's episode, we have three guests calling in from different locations. We have Chris, Lua, and Ollie.
Say hello, folks.
Hello.
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 Excellent. Coming up on today's show.
I didn't understand that shared activities were a way of getting to know each other. I didn't understand romance.
He was very attractive and I liked what he wrote about him and just felt a little spark.
This car skids to a halt. The door opens and there she is in the back seat wearing this Bond girl-like white puffer jacket with the sort of fur on the hood, just looking stunning.
Excellent. I'm really looking forward to chatting to them all today. I actually think this is going to be a really wholesome, lovely episode. I really can't wait.
And we'll head for our first guest, Chris Cray. Chris, where are you calling from and what's your story? Hello, how are you?
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm calling from Kingston upon Thames. And are you ready? I'm locked and loaded with my Tinder tale.
I'm ready.
Go ahead. It's not appropriate when you're dealing with someone whose surname is Fish, but I'm waiting with bated breath.
Whose surname is Fish?
Cray. Cray is a fish.
Chris provides our resident dad jokes.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. Incredible.
Yeah, okay, go on.
Well, this langoustine will tell his tale. It's fine.
Right. Go on.
This is not strictly speaking a Tinder tale. It's when I first started dating my now wife. Now, she doesn't want to be referred to by name, so I'm going to sound like quite a misogynist 1970s stand-up. We met when we were both at art school, but she didn't bother speaking to me at all because apparently I looked like just a little posh boy, and so just wasn't worth bothering with. She, on the other hand, was much more on the sort of hippie wellness spectrum. So she is a white lady. She had dreadlocks, which apparently in 2002 was fine. It's a different time. Even though we didn't talk, we had a mutual friend. She had a pub lunch, and that's where we met again. And when my wife came in, what we were discussing was what we'd had to learn after our art degree in order to be in any way employable. I had learnt animation, and I asked her what she'd done, and she said performance art. And so I just blurted out, no skills then. I guess I'd internalized Napoleon Dynamite. And also, I'm a nice person and have not read the book, The Game. But it does, apparently, from what I've soaked up of The Game, that is negging. And, apparently it works. Apparently I have more game than I'd know or want. But we did end up having like a nice, genuine chat. Apparently what she liked about me was that at the time I wasn't drinking. So while everyone was having like a pub lunch and a pint, I was eating dried fruit and drinking from a flask, which I think she found endearingly antisocial. We agreed to meet up again, and we met up in Richmond Park, which is of course outside. And because it's outside, I need sun cream. So because of her hippie wellness tendencies, I went to Neil's yard and bought some expensive organic sun cream.
Aww.
That was apparently made of chalk and did not absorb in any way into my skin. So, which led to an interesting conversation about the foundation I'd chosen to wear. And whatever I said, she did not believe, and still does not believe, that I was not wearing a strong white foundation. The next part of the date was pretty sweet and twee. Like what we'd agreed to do, being sort of arty people, is that we were going to bring watercolour paints, sit in a pretty little cafe in Richmond and paint the flowers on the table. And we did this, but I didn't understand that shared activities were a way of getting to know each other. I didn't understand romance. So I did not make conversation or eye contact for nigh on an hour. And my painting turned out really nice. Like, it was a really good painting.
Oh, good. Lovely.
As was hers. And feel free to diagnose me with whatever you like. It's absolutely fine with me. We did agree to meet up again. And at the end of the day, what clinched it for her that I was maybe a keeper was apparently me getting out my keys and opening up the door of my flat whilst wearing a barber jacket. So maybe me looking like a little posh boy wasn't as much of an ick as she originally thought. So that's the end of my Tinder tale, or my organic offline tale.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
That was excellent. Do you have those paintings hanging in your home?
Actually, having thought about this story for this podcast, I think we will now frame those. I think it's quite sweet. And they're perfectly nice, just pretty drawings of flowers. So, yeah, we might do that.
Very good. Excellent. Very good. Okay. So, Thomasin, have you any questions for Mr. Cray?
I do. That was lovely. I'm not going to lie. I in my head, I was mistaken. I got confused with what chalk and charcoal was. So for a minute, I thought this story was going to take a really weird turn. So I just feel so relieved right now, Chris Cray. But so my comments are, I mean, I almost wish that I had Mrs. Cray on to tell her side of the story, because she'd be
100%.
like, you know, this posh little student kept drinking from his own secret flask and he wouldn't tell me what was in it. And then he wouldn't talk to me and was just painting and he wouldn't stop painting. Like, and I married him. I would love to, I have more questions for her than you. But no, this is, okay. My first question is, have you read the game?
I have not read the game, but I have enough awful friends who have that I, by a process of social osmosis, almost have read the game.
It's a very politician's answer. Very good.
I mean, the answer is no. Because,
I believe you.
Because I went into a bookstore and started reading it, and I felt really sad inside.
Oh,
That's very decent of you.
Like, if this is what my life is going to be about, I don't want to be this. I might just be alone forever.
oh my gosh.
Although, I've also realised that there's a term called peacocking in the game, and that me with my nuts and flask would qualify as peacocking also. So I'm the fully doing the game circa 2009.
I love this. Let's open up to our other guests, Lua and Ollie. Lua, do you have any questions for Chris?
I do. Have you ever asked your wife what was going through her mind during that 1 hour you did not speak to her? Just drew?
I mean, I think, broadly speaking, she was trying to figure out what was wrong with me. And also just thinking, like, because it's one of those things where, to be honest, we didn't know whether it was a date properly or not. Do you know those early things? And we could just have been friends. You never know.
Yeah.
You know, nothing had happened yet. So she just might have a really boring art friend now.
Oh,
Okay. And instead she got a husband. Yeah.
I know.
So funny.
What was more
So much
useful?
worse. Yeah.
What was more useful, the degree or the husband? Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, but some of what you'd associate with the husband is cancelled out by the art degree.
Give us an example.
For example, a financially sound future.
Can't argue with that.
Artists don't think it at all about reality or income.
Well, that's lovely. And Ollie, do you have any questions for our Chris Cray?
Yeah. Does your missus still have dreadlocks?
No, I think that she would argue that they weren't strictly speaking dreadlocks, and I think they were around because she went into the training day at Vidal Sassoon, and they did whatever they wanted to her hair for free.
I see. Right.
I have one last question, then we do have to move on. But when you were painting, at any point were you ever? I'm just thinking, like, what if, like, you'd drawn, like, a really sexy painting as part of, like, the flirting, like Kate Winslet, Heart of the Ocean? Like, do you think she would have gone for something like that? Did that ever cross your mind?
Well, first off, I think my painting's really sexy.
It's a very sexy flower.
Just not having it. And secondly, I think if you're drawing flowers, then it's really only through subliminal messaging that the sexiness could come through.
Oh, going all George O'Keefe on it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, but I'd want to be presenting more of, I've got more of a phallus to offer.
Okay.
So I can't go George O'Keefe. To be honest, I got to go Salvador Dali.
Okay. Great answer. Great. That was great, Chris. Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right. Well, let's move on to our next guest. Lua, when you are ready, please tell us where you're calling from, and we'd love to hear your Tinder tale.
Hi, I'm Lua, and I am calling from Bristol. And my Tinder tale, I am going to take you back 7 years and tell the story of how I met my husband, who, for the purpose of today, we'll call Dave. I was living in between the Midlands and Warwickshire, and I was doing my postgraduate studies and feeling really, really miserable and very, very lonely and very desperate with the fact that I had this massive thesis that I needed to write and did not know what to do with it, which also meant that my social life was barely existent. So a friend of mine said to me, oh, why don't you, download one of these dating apps, because there's no way you're ever going to meet someone between your bedroom and the library and your bedroom. And that could give you a chance to be happy and smile. And I was just like, oh, yeah, okay. And I had just been out of a series of complicated, long-distance relationships. And I just wanted something simple, something very normal, whatever normal means. Something that was local and that wouldn't cause me any more hassle. Basically, I wanted someone that would be there whenever I needed them. When I was setting it up, you could adjust where you wanted the app to find people to match with you. So because I was in this headspace and I needed normality, I set the location for only 10 miles from where I lived. And the next day I decided to go on and have a look. And then this guy shows up on my app and I immediately felt, wow, I like him. He was very attractive and I liked what he wrote about him and just felt a little spark. So, there I go. And I already had these butterflies in my tummy just to say, oh, I like this guy. And then immediately, cling, connected with me. So that was my part of the story. Now, my husband, Dave, he went to a music festival in Leicestershire called Noisily, spent the whole weekend there. And on his way back, he stopped at a petrol station to fuel the car. He was very, very hungover, so he decided to have a burger. And why not just enter a dating app while he was having his burger very hungover?
Wow.
Later on, I found out that he was a bit heartbroken and a little disappointed because he was hoping to hook up with someone at the festival and didn't. So I'll have this image of him scrolling there hungover and a little bit disillusioned for not finding anyone.
Aww.
And that petrol station was within my strict 10-mile distance. It was one of those apps that the woman had to take the initiative and I had 24 hours to say hello. So I thought I'm not going to sound too needy and go, hi, hello, straight away. And the next day I'm like, oh, hello. And then we started chatting a little bit. And it took me weeks from actually having conversations via messages to figure out that he really lived in Bristol. He was nowhere near me. He wasn't next door like I was thinking. He wasn't going to take me to the movies on a Wednesday night because that's my thing. That's what I wanted. He did eventually show up to meet me. Drove all the way for 2 hours just for a first date. And when we first met, it was a Wednesday, so that was fine. It was nice because I really have this Wednesday obsession. And he turns up and he was this very tall man. And for some reason, I wasn't expecting him to be tall at all. So that was a surprise. And then I go up to him and I said, hi, I'm Lua. How are you doing? And this and that. Oh, how was your journey? And the first thing that he says to me is you have an American accent. And my internal eyebrow or external eyebrow just went up and I'm like, dude, I'm Brazilian. And those two don't mix up. don't confuse me. So I didn't say anything. And I just said, shall we go have a drink? And the first thing he orders is a double vodka and soda. And he had just driven like 2.5 hours. And I'm thinking, he's trying to drink his way into my bedroom. And I'm not going to he's going to drive back. He's not, what is he doing ordering vodka? So the first thing I ask him is like, what are you know, you're driving, right? Back. And then he said to me, oh no, I'm sleeping in my van. And I'm like, what do you mean you're sleeping in your van? And he said, oh, I have a bed in the back of my van. And that for me was a revelation. The way he was. He won my heart with that.
Okay.
Oh, I'm kidding. But it was just I found him so interesting. I'm sorry, but we don't have these vans with beds in Brazil. It's just not safe to be sleeping anywhere and everywhere, whenever you want to. So for me, I was very intrigued by this man that had just driven 2.5 hours to just be with me for a night for a date, slept in his van, woke up at 6 a.m. and drove all the way back to Bristol.
Oh, that's lovely, Lua. Thank you so much.
Excellent.
You know, it's so funny because, so you're Brazilian, yes?
Yes.
And I just, when I think of the cultural connotations with Brazilian, I think beautiful people, like dancers, lovely. And you on the other side looking at British men with a mattress in the back of their van, and you're like, how exotic. Wow.
Absolutely so exotic, very sexy.
So, and honestly, when you were telling me, he immediately first thing out of his mouth was assuming my accent was from America, then drinking double vodkas. I was like, man's been reading the game. This is... Where is this one going? My question is, what is the obsession with Wednesday? You mentioned that.
I don't know. It's just that midweek thing. I always feel a little bit like I just want someone to do something with.
Nice. You feel good about? Yeah, it's not a hump day for you. It's a good day.
Yeah. Well. I want to make it better. That's why I want someone to do something with, because I feel a little bit like, it's Wednesday,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. Chris, any questions?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of surprised that when you heard he had a van with a mattress in the back, you didn't just run. This is... And immediately check reports for missing people. I mean, yeah, that was a brave. Yeah.
I'm naive that way.
Did he say if it was his normal pattern to bring the bed to the date?
No, according to him, I was his first date. Oh, no, not ever. I mean,
I was like, that explains a lot.
Since his release.
Actually, I might ask him that.
Yeah, that was what struck me. Yeah. Anyway.
Ollie, any questions for Lua?
Is this like a transit van?
Yeah, I don't know. It's not what it wasn't a camper van, but it was a van that he used to go camping or go to festivals and
Like the slide door thing?
so yeah, slide door thing. Yeah.
Nice.
To be clear, he had brought that to the festival and it had gone unused. Apparently, yes, that's.
I didn't even think about that. Chris Cray, any questions for Lua?
I love this story. I just wanted to know, do you have any red flags?
Yeah, they were just switched off, I suppose, that day. And I actually learned the expression red flags a few months before that, really. A friend of mine sat with me and she explained to me the red flag thing. It's 3, right? So there's 1 red flag, 2 red flags. On the 3rd, you stop. At least that's what she told me.
Yeah, because he didn't have any duct tape in the back of the van. That was absolutely fine. Just stop at 2 and we're done. We're good.
Yeah, if I'd seen that, man, that would have been weird.
Or cable ties.
Oh yeah, well, you're missing the point of the story.
It is very romantic. That serendipity, I think, is really, really special. Actually, yeah, it's a beautiful story.
Thank you.
I think it's time we moved on to Ollie. Ollie, would you like to tell us where you're calling in from and what's your story?
I'm calling in from London, and my story, I had met this girl who's now my wife, and we met in a pub in Brighton. I used to live in Brighton, and she was from Brighton, and I met her, and she is absolutely gorgeous, stunning, just perfect. And so I then didn't get the chance to get her number or anything. So then I met her like a few weeks later in a bar, and she was she had a few drinks, and she was really coming on to me. But I was sober as a judge, so I it's not the sort of gentlemanly thing to do there, you see. So I kind of rejected her advances, which upset her. So she stormed off. And I remember watching her storm off down the lanes in Brighton, heading to a nightclub on the seafront. And I said to her, "Oh, would you like me to escort you to the club because you're on your own?" Well, she said, "No, fuck off. I can get there on my own. I don't need your help." And I just thought that was absolutely fantastic. And I watched her sort of stride away. So she was a friend of a friend. So later, I got her phone number and texted her. And I was quite nervous, I seem to remember. I think I said, "Oh, do you want to meet for a drink or something?" And she responded saying, "Who's this?" And I thought, oh, right, shall I leave it or not? And so I was with my friend who knew her. He said, no, just send her another text, it'll be fine. And I did, and she was very nice. And we met for a drink. So I arrive in this pub, and there she is, looking great, with 3 friends. And the seat next to her was taken. So I now have to sit around the table with people I have no interest in speaking to at that stage. So it wasn't going great. And then we went to this club on the seafront, and she just went off into the dance floor, and I didn't see her again for about 2 hours. So I just remember thinking, okay, how long do I stay before I go? And then I think I waited till about 12:30, 1 or something. And I saw her and I said, "Look, I've got to go. It's lovely to see you. Great." And she obviously realised, I think I might have not treated him very well. So she immediately kissed me, and we're now married.
Wow. Great. Very good. Very good.
Excellent.
Chris,
Yeah.
any questions?
Yeah. How many of the 3 people who were at the table with you were at your wedding?
I don't think any of them. I have no memory of them.
Oh, fair enough. That's fine.
I mean, I genuinely, if you were to ask me to name them, I wouldn't be able to. I have no idea.
Fair enough.
I only had eyes for one person.
Oh, very good. Thomasin, have you any questions about this wonderful romantic?
Yes, it is romantic, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I think the moral of today's story is that even if you have a bumpy start to dating, whether it's like they're ignoring you to paint their watercolour, whether they've showed up with a van and a mattress, or whether they're literally telling you to fuck off, you could still marry them. You could still be with them. It is romantic to me because Ollie, it gives me hope. It gives me so much hope. So my question is, you're there and it's it's getting to midnight, and she's been off doing her thing. What was it exactly that made you stay?
She's gorgeous, so I thought, I've got to wait till I see her before I tell her I'm leaving.
Okay.
So I guess it was slightly practical, but yeah, I thought I should say. I thought if you slink off without saying goodbye,
It's Irish goodbye, isn't it?
yeah,
Fuck off.
yeah,
Chris, where does Irish goodbye come from?
America.
Is it?
That's because we Irish people actually like to leave. If you try and say goodbye to Americans, it takes too bloody long.
So the American was like, oh, that Irish person left without saying goodbye. Must be a cultural thing.
Yeah.
The Irish person's like, no, I wanted to get away from you.
Exactly. Anyway, yeah.
And they're like, no, it's in your culture. Yeah.
Also, a lot of Americans identify as Irish because some whatever their family was 400 years ago.
Yeah.
They do.
Like Joe Biden is fully Irish, just so you know.
he's more English than he is Irish.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah,
I will tell you a true story about Mr. Biden. When he was a senator, he was a senator for a very long time, and he came to London for some reason, and his mother came with him. His mother was more identifiably Irish, identified more as Irish even than Joe, and it was fine. She was staying in a very posh hotel in London. She was brought into the hotel room, and she was told, "Oh yes, the Queen has slept in this bed." So in the morning, they found the bedclothes on the ground. She would not sleep in a bed that the Queen had slept in. That
so
is a
good.
true story.
Wow.
They don't like
I
the
love
British. Yeah.
I love it. She's like, I'd rather sleep on the mattress in Lewis's partner's van than in this bed. How dare you?
And this is a woman in her 80s. So, yeah, that's it. Anyway.
Chris Craig, do you have any questions for Ollie?
Yeah, Ollie. So we've seen the binary of fuck off to big old snog. When did you see that median?
yeah. It's a good question. I don't. It's funny because we didn't get together straight after that, though. I mean, I then met her in a club. I was young then, so you go to clubs. I mean, the thought of going to a nightclub now gives me the creeps, but not the creeps. It just horrifies
It would
me.
give them the creeps if you went to a club.
yeah. But I think we met in a nightclub later where we kissed again, but she said, "Oh, I have a boyfriend," and but I don't know how seriously she was clearly not taking the boyfriend that seriously. So we actually got together New Year's Eve 2003. It was chucking it down with rain, and it was after midnight, so I guess it was 2004, and so I texted her, where are you? And no one could get a cab. It was impossible. And then she appeared in the back of a cab. I was hiding in a doorway, and the rain was coming down really hard, and this car skids to a halt. The door opens, and there she is in the back seat wearing this Bond girl-like white puffer jacket with the sort of fur on the hood, just looking stunning. And so
Get in with me if you want to live.
Exactly. Got in the car. We went back to mine, and we stayed together after that.
That's very romantic.
I love the way there's an appendix to the story.
Yeah, sorry.
Sequel tale, yeah. Lua, do you have any questions for our Ollie?
I was going to ask because you mentioned a few times how gorgeous she was that first night as well. I was going to ask, do you remember what she was wearing? But you just gave us a little glimpse.
I'm a man. I have no idea what she was wearing.
Yeah, when you actually got together, you did.
She used to wear very short skirts. She never wore jeans till about 4 years ago.
Your wife is cool.
I see.
Yeah, she's great.
Very good.
That's very kind. I will let her know. She'll be delighted.
I'm quite tempted, The three of you have told stories about how you met. It would be really brilliant to get your three partners on and have the three of them tell the obverse story. I think that would be just a brilliant episode. We'll see if we
I
can.
feel like that's not how it happened at all.
Yeah.
And will you be selling couples therapy after that?
Yes.
Well, I think it's time to wrap up. But just before we do, I'd love it if you have anything to plug or shout out, any socials or podcasts. We'll start with you, Chris Cray.
I'm an animator and a stand-up comic. And I combine the two on my Instagram. So if you like that, it's @_Chris_Cray.
Lovely. I really enjoy that stuff. I highly recommend. And Lua?
Just a lovely smile, and thank you very much for having me here.
It's been delightful.
Lovely. And encouragement to make your Wednesdays, make the most of your Wednesdays.
Yes, make the most of your Wednesday.
Lovely. And Ollie?
Well, I, amongst other things, I have a history podcast called Aspects of History. So head over there and you should find any of your history needs answered, hopefully.
Excellent. It's a great podcast. It's actually how we came across Ollie. So yeah, give it a look. And obviously, if you enjoyed the podcast today, please do give us a follow, leave us a review for a small up and coming podcast. It really does make the difference. If you give us 5 stars, I will love you. I will paint you a sexy watercolor painting. If you leave us 1 star, I'm gonna drive you around in my van with a mattress and we'll have words. But give us a follow on Telling Tinder Tales on Instagram and TikTok. Chris, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I just say thank you again to all our guests for telling wonderful and uplifting stories. You can keep an eye out for our live shows at festivals called, again, Telling Tinder Tales. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you to all our guests. Goodbye, folks.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Telling Tinder Tales is hosted and produced by me, Chris O'Neill, and Thomasin Lockwood. Produced and edited by Lucy Regan, with music by Kinkas Moreira. It's a Jester's Comedy Dublin production and is no way affiliated with or endorsed by Tinder. If you have a story to tell, please get in touch. Details are in the show notes. And if you like us, instead of swiping right, follow us on Instagram and or TikTok at Telling Tinder Tales.